Hi. Um, so 3 to 4 in the night or morning is known as the dead hour in hospitals because that's where maximum people die in their sleep. I think we can appropriate the same time for conferences, 3 to 4. So Shiny, either I can get away by saying anything and nobody will know, or or some people will wake up, right? So let's see. Yeah. Okay, so some militant images there because I'm going to talk about a topic which is slightly militant in nature. I'm going to start with this quote with one of my favorite writers. Without leaps of imagination or dreaming, we lose the excitement of possibilities. Dreaming, after all, is a form of planning. I'll let you read that again. Dreaming, after all, is a form of planning. This is Gloria Steinem, one of the greatest feminists of our time. Or, as one of my other favorite authors, Glennon Doyle, says, that unless you imagine, you cannot change anything. So most revolutions, most life-changing events start when you imagine. I mean, however cliched, but Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream." And that to me is not left alone to revolutions, but can be borrowed by marketeers and by what we call the challenger brands. Now, there seems to be a certain existing notion about which or what are challenger brands. I think challenger brands are not defined by their state of market, but by their state of mind. Often enough, challenger brands are not happy with what's going on in their category and they want to challenge the status quo. So they try and bend the rules. You know, there is this popular notion to say that only the sexier brands or the brands which are slightly deviant in nature, want to break rules, are the ones which are challenger brands. But really, I mean, the legacy players, as somebody was saying, could have a challenger mindset. And some of the cooler brands may just want to follow the norm. So we're going to spend the next couple of minutes to see that what is it that makes for a challenger brand, and what are some of the things that you can imbibe, as a mentality if you're behaving like a challenger brand. So again, taking a little bit of inspiration. So this concept of Mephisto waltz is borrowed by astronomy. It's almost akin to things becoming status quo. So when two black holes come close to each other, they get so pulled in and sucked in by the gravitational force that they just collapse. And this, I believe, is happening in a lot of categories and markets today. Just by sheer sense of following each other, they are almost collapsing into each other. And challenger brands, if they want to not get sucked into this vortex, try and question, the existing norms. They try and bend the rules. They try and sort of bring forth new energies, new thinking with them. And that in some ways takes, the whole category forward, progresses the category forward. Somebody was talking about Domino's yesterday, how they actually were, the leaders in delivering, right, delivery services in the country. That was a challenger mindset, right? And they didn't want to get into the rut of what's been going on. Now, closer home for DBS, the bank, we sort of had a similar approach. And I'll talk to you about one of the things that we'd done. So this was a very simple question that we asked the consumers. Now, a bit of context, right? We all know DBS as this international MNC brand. But recently, we acquired a bank called Lakshmi Vilas Bank. And some of the products that were absolutely new to us were also a part of that package. A product called Gold Loan. DBS had never worked on a product called Gold Loan, right? So the market was new. The people who we were serving were absolutely new. The mindsets were new. The delivery mechanism was absolutely new. And what was worse is that we were actually operating in a category which is entrenched by, again, what we call legacy players like Muthoot and Manappurams with upwards of 150 crores of annual spends, right? So they have what we call the share of voice. They had what we call the share of mind. And DBS was a very, very late, a very, very new, a very, very fresh, and a very, very novice entrant into this category, right? So I don't know how many are aware of this product, but basically what happens is that you pawn your gold against loan, and the rates that you get are much better than, let's say, a personal loan. And it's quick. It's very quick. You know, you can get a loan in 30 minutes, and that's one of our promises, right? And you don't need any, supporting documents. I mean, the loan is very, very quick. So this is something that a lot of really bottom of the funnel, small kirana stores owners, agriculturists, people like those sort of try and get into. So for them, advertising doesn't really work. It's word of mouth. They just go and sort of talk to their neighbor, talk to their family, talk to somebody else who's taken the gold loan, and ask them that, where should I get the gold loan from? And chances are the answer would be a Muthoot or a Manappuram or one of the local players, right? There was no chance in hell that anybody would ever say DBS to them as an option, right? But so again, going back to that analogy of Mephisto walls, right? We could have collapsed, or we thought that why not bring in a little bit of provocation? Why not bring in a little bit of behavior change? So we in India know that we try and sort of test everything before we buy, right? I mean, there is this, again, very cliched example of saying कि धनिया खरीदने से पहले भी 4 जगह जाके पूछेंगे कि, कहाँ सबसे fresh धनिया or what's the best price I'm getting. But when it came to gold loan, people were just following each other blindly. So we said, could we take that cultural, behavior of saying that I test, I sort of always, even when I buy gold, I go and test for its purity and quality, right? So could I take the same consumer behavior? And what we said is this provocation, is this question, to build in a little bit of dissonance to say that, क्या आपने अपना gold loan test किया? And this was based on a couple of parameters on which people actually evaluate their gold loan, right? So how fast do I get a gold loan? How safe is my gold once I sort of lend it to you? And, what is the rate of interest, obviously, that you're going to charge me for it, right? And just to give you a perspective, we literally converted this into a gold loan report card, right? So for a lot of retailers and, a lot of these conversations at the point of, sale, we built this sort of almost activation tool for our sales force to say that if somebody comes to you for gold loan, or when you're sort of out there selling the proposition, you can start this conversation with a report card. And it was pretty much like, that provocation, that seeding of thoughts saying that, have you really tested your gold loan before checking? Then again, another way of doing this is by creating symbols of reevaluation. Now, we are DBS, right? I mean, we will continue to be DBS. So even when we were communicating to the audience and we were being provocated, we wanted to continue to give them certain new, symbols of reevaluation, which is one of the, as we say, 7 credos of a challenger brand. And, so I'll let you just see this ad, and then I'll talk about some of these reevaluation symbols that we generated.
ஏய் என்ன ஸ்பெஷல்?
என் வைஃப்க்கு ப்ரமோஷன் கிடைச்சிருக்கு.
ப்ரமோஷனா? ஆமா. இப்போ நான் இவரோட லைஃப் பார்ட்னர்ல இருந்து பிசினஸ் பார்ட்னர் ஆயிட்டேன்.
கங்க்ராட்ஸ். டேய் எப்பறா
கோல்ட் லோன்ல இருந்து?
ஏய் உன் ஹஸ்பண்ட சூஸ் பண்ண இவ்ளோ டைம் எடுத்துக்கிட்ட. ஆனா கோல்ட் லோன் மட்டும் ரெண்டையுமே டெஸ்ட் பண்ணி பார்த்தேன்.
என்னது? கோல்ட் லோனுக்கு டெஸ்டா?
ஆமா. இந்த தடவை வழக்கமான பழைய இடத்துல இருந்து வாங்காம முதல்ல டெஸ்ட் பண்ணணும். அப்புறம் ஏசியா சேஃபஸ்ட் பேங்கான டிபிஎஸ் சூஸ் பண்ணோம். ஏன்னா அவங்க தான் கோல்ட் லோன்ஸ் எல்லா கோல்ட் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸையும் மீட் பண்ணினாங்க.
ஏம்பா இந்த தங்கமன மனசுல யாராவது லோன் கொடுப்பாங்க?
Tamil, but the subtitles should have helped. So the woman whose gold it is actually has no role when it comes to gold loan, right? But because we were DBS and we wanted to have a slightly more progressive conversation, we said that why don't we make her, one of the decision makers in this choice of gold loan. And going back to that provocative question of that, people usually end up just taking a gold loan from wherever anybody else is asking them to, but could we sort of build those symbols of reevaluation? Could we sort of build that provocation wherein we making them ask the question of, have you taken the gold loan test? Third, what is your brand really emotional about, right? I think challenger brands are generally very passionate. So if they are getting into something, they would truly want to change something in their category or around the world. They would have a certain purpose that they would come in with, right? And again, one of the other case studies that we'd done, at DBS, and one of the other works that we'd done, we thought that as a bank, what is it that we can sort of really champion? But we went a step ahead and we said that should we first sort of see that who are the people that we're talking to? And we said that can we move the conversation from money to self? Now let me just spend a minute here. We bank with people, right? We bank with humans, and they have certain, certain motivations. And most of the people out here today, or at least the dominant mindset today, is of that growth mindset. Most people fear obsolescence. They fear this sense of not being able to move on, not being able to add anything new to their life. So we said that could we as a bank move the conversation from return on investment to return on self? Can we move the conversation from just your money to but the person that you are? Could we become somebody who can help create value in your life? So, the obvious answer is that we'll become so convenient, we'll become so instant, intelligent, and intuitive that you can focus on building more value for yourself in life, and the bank sort of is there to support you, because what we are banking with is not just your money, but your entire self-worth. And that led us to what we used to call the unbank, because what we were saying was that people don't need banks. They need banking that can power their journey to become a person of value. So basically, we are going to be championing that growth mindset, that journey of you becoming a person of greater value, and we investing in you and not just your money. So I'll just play another ad.
We don't need banks. We need banking. Banking that notifies you when the money hits your account, but is also intelligent enough to notify you if it doesn't. Banking, where you can manage 1, 2, 30, 333 accounts through your universal banking remote and make international money transfers the same day at a zero remittance fee. Banking that curates a personalized health insurance for you, which can be switched on and off, as you fancy. And where the loans are more instant than instant coffee. Banking that coaches you to become the mutual fund pro your dad never thought you'd be. Because honestly, everybody likes you when you're rich. But everybody really likes you when you're really rich. Banking that's been voted Asia's safest year after year and is unlike every other bank. A bank that is instant, intelligent, intuitive. Digibank by DBS. Let's unbank. Download now.
So again, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but in the two pieces of work that I've shown you, both were DBS. But both were talking to very, very different audience in a very, very different language and a very, very different tonality. That to me is also a sign of a challenger brand. So when we entered a market like gold loan, we were the challengers because we were probably the fifth and a very, very small player. But when we were being the unbank, we were challenging the traditional mindset of banking. And that's what, we were playing a role as a challenger. Just one last bit. So of course you can do all that, but we always stick to fundamentals, right? As a challenger brand, I believe there is merit in doing more with less. So you don't always have to go for high frequency campaigns. You can have sharp-shooted, specific message with the right audience. I mean, Red Bull is a great example, right? They're no longer just an energy drink. They are sort of really sponsors of high-octane sports, sort of brands and sports enthusiasts. So, because what they've focused on is what they believe in and this one singular mindset. Disruptive, but not unruly. Now again, most of the challenger brands tend to have lower budgets. So consistency is key. Having that red thread throughout your ideas and throughout your campaigns is extremely critical. Red Bull is again a great example. And then aim for fame. Most challenger brands do not like being ignored. They like to be they like to be remembered, and they're not okay with just awareness. They look for fame, and that's why they usually come up with path-breaking ideas. And with that, I sort of end my conversation. Okay. Thank you.